Welcome to the Couple-preneurs Show, helping couples in business develop structure and strategies that nurture the balance between business and home, bringing you interviews and insights to give you the secret sauce of power couples. Here are your hosts, Oscar and Kiya Frazier.
Entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, already successful entrepreneurs, or if you're just a couple in business or an aspiring couple to be in business, this show is absolutely for you. Today, I am super excited to introduce a group that I think has one of the most relevant topics that I've seen in quite some time. But before I do that, because Kiya is already looking at me as if I'm about to screw something up again, let me make sure that I turn it over to her so she can do all the things that we're supposed to be doing.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Quick update and a quick highlight of our sponsors for today. Talk Shirt to Me coming to us. Talk Shirt to Me has shirts that speak to help you express yourself. You can find them at talkshirttome.com, and it sounds exactly like it said, talkshirttome.com. Also, we have Carolina Runners. They are a family-owned trucking company. Owners looking for authority, owner-operators looking for authority. Please check them out at carolina-runners.com. Again, that's carolina-runners.com.
You know, Kiya, I used to always get so confused with dash and slash and all those other things that goes in between those websites. But I think you did a pretty good job there just now. All right. So let me tell you all a quick funny story as to why I said I was excited about this conversation today. I think everyone on and or listening to this episode can relate to something that we all have a very strong and commonality about from 2020. And that would be the pandemic, right? So we all had some level of shift in our way of living, whether it be lifestyle, whether it be family, but more importantly, business, right? When we think about what life changed, and especially I can speak specifically for Kiya and I, over at In Demand, before our office, those that have been to our office in Atlanta, we're right in the Midtown, Ponce City Market area. And we have, a fairly nice office. And when we were in other locations, whether it be Charlotte or DC, we had offices and our staff would come in and then work from there, just like any other normal consultancy would do. But when 2020 hit, I think we all learned something very valuable, and that is not to take anything for granted ever again, right? And the reason why I'm excited about this conversation, we have Jason and Sheila of the Seer Solutions group, and they are going to be talking to us a little bit more about what it means to actually, be in a remote working environment. What are some of the things we can be doing as entrepreneurs, whether it's a couple in business with a small office or an individual in business with a very large office with a number of employees. I think we all can learn something. Now, Kiya, right before we jumped on here, I said I wasn't going to screw anything up, and I think I already did. So the name is actually Seer Strategic Solutions. So I really apologize about that, Jason. Sheila, I definitely owe you guys something after this show for screwing it up right in the very beginning.
All good.
Yeah, I told you on Fridays or something, I usually find a way to screw something up. So I definitely apologize about that. But again, Seer Strategic Solutions, we've got Jason and Sheila with us. How are the both of you doing today?
Fantastic.
We're doing fantastic.
Cool. So before we jump into the specifics of remote work, we'd love to learn more about, you two. So, I don't want to, it doesn't really matter who goes first, but I'll lean towards Sheila. If Sheila, if you'd like to just kind of give us, a bit of an overview of you, kind of where you're from, your background, why entrepreneurship, et cetera. Then Jason, if you could go right after that, that'd be awesome. And then we'll get into the Seer Strategic Solutions Consultancy.
Absolutely. Well, welcome, everyone. My name is Sheila Volante, and I have been in IT project management for about 15 years. I currently reside here in Las Vegas, Nevada. And within my 15 years of IT, I have helped thousands of organizations manage and protect their assets, as in delivering amazing project management.
Excellent. Okay. Jason?
And I'm Jason. I'm on the other side of our business. I lead marketing, operations, and talent for our business. And, going back 10 years, I basically worked with over 1 million people to adopt Microsoft 365 and Google Workspace and custom software applications. Microsoft's been really pushing a lot in this area, as everybody is, Zoom and Google, and a lot of what we've seen, like what we've been struggling with over the last couple months, I'm damn sure that everybody else is struggling with too. And that's why we kind of brought this subject to you today.
Yeah, absolutely. So excited. Now, Sheila, the times that I've gone out to Vegas, normally I'm not focused on business at all. I'm typically losing money at either like the craps table or something like that. So what is life like? Did you say you were born and raised in Vegas, or is that just where you are now? How many years have you been there?
Yeah, so actually, Vegas has a plethora of opportunity here besides the slot tables and the card games. But I've migrated here from Los Angeles, California. Originally, I'm from the South Bay, where Lawndale and Hawthorne reside, and I've been here for about 5 years now. And I worked with the entertainment industry with Caesars Entertainment, MGM, Wynn, and I believe Boyd Gaming as well, in their IT department. And you'll notice here that it is, although everyone thinks Las Vegas is really just for entertainment, however, this is a very great community for IT, and it's actually growing very large in numbers throughout the years.
Excellent. So next time I come out there, I'll make sure I bring my resume and I'll be ready to have a good conversation about the business. Excellent to hear.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. So now, moving into Seer Strategic Solutions, we'd love to hear a little bit more about, how you got it started, what is it all about, and then I want to obviously start talking a lot about the remote environment and the new world that we all live in today.
Yes, absolutely. So, our organization, we're a small minority-owned, woman-owned business here in Las Vegas, where we specialize in software adoption and organizational change. And usually that really helps out organizations to understand more of the maturity of the digital adoption. So as we know that technology is transforming so much, and we specialize in the Microsoft Cloud. So we provide adoption services for modern workplace and security, business applications, and data and AI. So as you guys are starting to really see the maturity of technology, the end users tend to be overwhelmed. And so we provide that assistance to our adoptions and our clients. And how did we get here? I'm going to go ahead and let JP speak in regards to that.
Sure, yeah. It's funny because while Sheila is in Vegas, I'm in the Los Angeles area, and we're a small business, 3 employees, 1 contractor, but we're almost completely remote. So we have an office space, the mail gets there, the bills come in, that never stops. Yeah. But we work out of our homes most of the time, and we encourage this as we look to kind of expand. We got here because of the experience of those people, and we know that we need to reach out to additional talent in other markets where they reside, so that because these days business isn't just geographical. Most businesses have the capacity outside of a storefront to reach across the entire nation and bring their services everywhere. And we work with a lot of businesses of that type. The ones that Sheila was mentioning are all over the United States and in remote resort areas too. But we also work with an ecosystem of Microsoft and its partner network, the International Association of Microsoft Channel Partners, and others. And they're all over the place. We get notes daily that come in from every corner of the United States. And it's great now that the tools allow us to do that. Yeah. They allow us to scale that way. I mean, you look at what Microsoft's done for collaboration in Teams and SharePoint and business intelligence tools, but also look at third-party online tools, DocuSign and Gusto for HR, and Monday.com, where we have all of our tasks and dashboards and everything, QuickBooks. Dude, when I tried to run a business 10 years ago, these things weren't available like they are today.
Totally agree.
And so small businesses can take advantage of those. I'm sure some of your sponsors, fit that bill too, that they are able to serve their business-to-business offerings pretty much everywhere in the U.S. What a great country we live in that we have access to so many tools that are exponentially increasing year over year.
Yeah, and Jason, I think that's a great segue into one of the first questions that I have for you. In your environment, and really this is for either you, Jason, or Sheila. But what are some of the challenges of a remote workplace that you've seen? I guess more like in the aggregate, right? Because I'm sure you all are working with various companies of varying sizes. So is there like an aggregate kind of like theme, if you will, that you see around some of those challenges?
Yes. Clients are wrestling with this right now. How much do we go back into the office? How many of us are going to be there? Who's going to be in the office on a given day? What time will they be there? What time zones are people operating in? All these basically create for like a really complex map of what used to be simple, because who's here? I can look around, I can pop my head up, look over the other cubicle. Oh, Joe's here, no problem. But now, where is everybody? Are they on lunch? I don't know. So scheduling gets really confusing. Plus, what we all love about the office is that socialization, sitting around the water cooler, shooting the bunk, getting that in real life kind of engagement that makes for our experience as employees. That's completely shifted to the room you happen to be working out of. Yeah. And now your communications lean heavily on those tools so that you can actually collaborate with your workers elsewhere. So you're stuck in email. Hopefully you're using like a chat tools for some quick type of communication. And we're all residing a lot on the other tools that we have. And I don't know anybody that isn't using online meetings or a conferencing tool these days. In fact, I think Microsoft, Zoom, all of them saw exponential growth on that in March of last year. People had to advance their technology roadmaps by 2 years just to make the capability of working together in the middle of the pandemic. And now what's happened is we've done all of that for a year and change, and now we're all zoomed out. We're all just tired of that kind of thing. So how do you balance all of that, the crazy schedule, the socialization, and the communication, so that it makes for an enjoyable experience that you actually want to get up, maybe put on pants, and walk over to your laptop and work with people?
Yeah. And Jason, that's an interesting concept, primarily because myself as an executive of our organization, I'm always focused on performance management, right? From the aspects of, are we being, productive? Is the team performing at the level that we need to be able to move to the next levels? And then you drop remote activity in the middle of that. So any advice or any perspectives on remote performance management?
Yeah, absolutely. So we can't rely only on the ability to kind of peer over the wall and see how our direct reports are doing. Yeah. We have to change that. So it's really important to stay focused on exactly what performance look like. Map out your KPIs, your key performance indicators, and regularly have a weekly one-on-one with that person and make that the top of the agenda. Go through those. Where are they slipping? Let's take the why out of it for just a second, but look at, where are you faulty? How can I help? As your boss, as a great manager, how can I ensure you succeed in what you're trying to do so you can continue on in your career? And then then you're going to get to the why. What is preventing the performance from occurring? And there's essentially two valves to that. Either they're unable to do the work to your standard, or they're unwilling to do the work to that standard. Yeah. And sometimes it's hard to see between the two, but the two have very different solutions. If somebody is unable, no problem. Let's get you some training. Let me coach you. You put on that trainer hat and you really go to work on getting their performance up. Shadow them on a call. Reverse shadow. Have them shadow you so they can see your examples modeled.
Yeah.
And then so that's bear that in mind, that sometimes though it's a motivation thing. They might be just tired of how things are working. So you're going to have to do a little bit of digging into the reasons why they're not performing. And on that, you're going to have to put on the hat of a coach to resolve. Give them the motivation necessary. Remove the blocks that are preventing them from performing to the standards you have.
Yeah.
Get them back up into that place. Yeah. So they can succeed. Because there's a lot of disengagement going on because of those items we mentioned beforehand, that it's very easy to kind of, not have the investment in your job that you used to have.
Yeah.
So it's important to even double down on what you do as a manager to make sure they can succeed.
Wow. Great feedback there. Kiya, you can probably attest to this. Some of the clients we've had in the past, I was usually in some sort of a seat of like a product manager or a product director to help launch a product. And we're using all sorts of agile and safe methodology, all this fancy stuff, right? And typically what happens in I guess in the purest standpoint, you may have like this scrum master that comes in and they're having all these cadences and these meetings, like a daily stand up and all this kind of stuff. But then what I have found out just over time and experience is that sometimes meetings just fucking suck. You know what I mean? Sometimes it's just what it is. It's like meetings, and as long as I have a cadence in place and I can engage with my team when I need to, that to me is a lot more productive than sitting through meetings, right? And so I would love to hear what Seer has in place or any kind of models that you could potentially recommend to help with like team engagement or setting those different sorts of cadences so that way you can minimize some of those meetings.
Yes, I would love to speak on this. During our process, I regularly work with clients that don't know me, right? So from the business, so to try to engage on excitement and have them wanting to click on our meetings is that you want to kind of engage the temperature in the room. That's like the most important of building that relationship, online. And sometimes we did, have that experience when we were in the offices. However, we have to change the momentum, right? Change the vibe, change the environment. And by doing that, it's all about engaging, allowing them to speak, have the voice, right? Sometimes when leaders, move on with meetings, they're going off of a checklist, right? And it's really dry, boring. And so bringing in excitement to building relationships within the meeting does spread positivity throughout the organization. Things such as maybe schedule a happy hour, right? And schedule with some games, right? There's so many different online tools that can be used in order to build in more of a foundation of relationships. So when you do have those meetings, at least you're not coming there being sad. You're coming in there being with a more framework of a mind of working together and building that relationship. And so I think that when users or, managers or such are engaging with excitement instead of, going right into business, this does change the fundamental of having a meeting and changes the mindset of a boring outcome.
Yeah.
I totally agree with that. Oscar, we can kind of speak to that because, even though we have, in-demand consulting and, we operate in the federal space, we kind of run an unorthodox ship, right? And we like to have fun and we like for our staff and and our just our community to have fun with us. So one thing that we started throwing into the mix is when we would start off meetings, we would call out someone to like give us a nice song or something to kind of start off the meeting, right? And so now everybody is kind of taken off guard. Everybody can, kind of relax a little bit. And then somebody is singing a song to open up the meeting. And it puts everybody in a good frame of mind. And now we can get down and really have some energy when we're talking through all the strategy and all the business things that we need to get done for the day. So definitely, that cadence of just bringing some joy into the room instead of it being just a boring meeting every single time you're getting on these remote calls, the Zoom, however you communicate with your team, can definitely go a long way.
Yeah. It can be a bit of a shock to moving from someone that may be used to being in the office, used to, seeing people, having that interaction, and then you kind of suck them out of that and you put them into, you're now in your home, sitting in front of your computer 80% of your day. That can definitely be, quite a shock. I know that for myself, it was certainly a shock last year. When I think this started off with around March of last year, when we had to kind of be in the house and our offices had to be shut down and all of those things. So now you kind of move from, to your point earlier, Jason, from being able to, see people and have the water cooler conversations and go out for happy hour. Now everything's like, I got to try to be as funny or as innovative as I can over Zoom. And if I'm, to your point earlier, if I'm still in my PJs, right, because I've got 50 meetings set up now, because I got to be on something with Zoom all day. Now I don't feel as energetic, right? So I'm trying to fake the funk, and it just becomes like so inauthentic. And so I'm really loving some of the ideas that you all are setting in place for us. So another question here, and really for anyone, either one of you. So a small business that will be interested in your services and or mid or large size. First, if you could level set with the listenership, like what is your ideal client? What does that look like? Because what I don't want to happen, right, is that we have folks reach out to you that doesn't really fit within your bailiwick. It's kind of like if they're too new or they're too old, like I want to make sure that there's something that fits in that sweet spot. So can either one of you kind of elaborate on that?
Absolutely. So where we really work is with businesses of, we aim at the mid-market. And that's clients anywhere from like 250 employees up to 10,000. But fact of the matter is that lots of small businesses, we've got a kind of a sweet spot. We know that every small business has the capacity to be a medium, and medium has capacity to be a large. So the key for us is we work really closely with Microsoft as a partner, and we try to find opportunities for that software, that collaboration, to make its way into those businesses so you can apply best practices and start to capture back some of the time that's lost in unnecessary activities. Meetings are a great example of that. Like looking at your schedule and that of your employees. How much time are they really spending in these versus being productive on the tasks you're assigning them? A lot of meetings are unnecessary. How do you get out of those? Meetings are held for the wrong reason. The wrong people are in the room. You got to reschedule. Or there's just that recurring weekly that you go to and nothing gets done.
Yeah.
A lot of that has to do with the quality of the meeting. So ensuring that you're there to make a decision. Now, if you're there to socialize, okay, that's a good purpose. We all need that. Let's hoist a beer at the end of the day here. Great. But if you're just sitting around and nothing's getting done, take the half hour of your time plus the half hour of your employees' time, multiply that out times 52 weeks, and you're just blowing money out the door. So think about where your time is going and where your employees' time is going. That's a conversation we love to have with businesses of any size.
Absolutely. I think, that's absolutely applicable across the board. And I guess finally, when it comes to like effective follow-ups, right? So after you've had, the the more efficient meetings, or you've minimized the meetings? Is there a way that you would recommend for organizations to be able to have more effective follow-ups to ensure that productivity is taking place?
Yes. Sheila, go ahead.
Sorry. I think that anonymous polling is one way where people can be able to provide their feedback. And it's also a real-time engagement where instead of waiting for a long period of time to get kind of your internal customer feedback, that polling is one great way to be able to rectify the error or issue, right? And put together some of the ideas in front of you, right in front of them, so they can be able to exercise that right and to improve on that. So one thing that I've always used is a polling feature to engage on internal updates.
Absolutely, that makes a lot of sense. We actually use a lot of those tools and with in-house on our end. But as far as a final nugget, would there be, if there were, let's say, 2 pieces of technology that really any business, as far as size, that they could use right now to be able to get into this remote rhythm, right, and kind of adopt some of the advice that you all have provided? Is there 1 or 2 pieces of technology that you would recommend to the listeners?
Yeah, I've got one for you, and it's a tool that's typically already in like Microsoft Office. Nobody knows about it. It's hidden, and it's right there, and it's fantastic. It's called OneNote. And you can use Evernote or any kind of other tool that allows you to kind of do this in advance, but basically planning for your meeting in advance. So OneNote's great because you can pull in meeting information from Outlook. It really connects, but whatever tool you're using, create an agenda ahead of time. What exactly are you trying to get out of this meeting? What's the objectives? What are the decisions we have to make? And put that agenda into your invitation. So when you first send that invitation for a meeting to somebody, they don't roll their eyes. They actually look at, oh, okay, this is what we have to do. And when you get into that meeting, follow that agenda. Sure, get your socialization in the first couple minutes, but kind of stick to it so you can get to those decisions. You can share the information as necessary. And now OneNote or Evernote, whatever you use, is great for capturing notes, capturing your action items, tagging them as action items with little check boxes. It's kind of neat like that. And when you're done with your meeting, then go and convert your action items from wherever you keep your notes into whatever task management tool you have. We use Monday.com. There's Planner and Microsoft. There's a bunch of ones out there, but convert those action items to tasks, assign them, give them deadlines, and then make sure that person knows about them. The best thing about OneNote then is when you're done with the meeting, you can click a button to email those notes. So all of the action items are listed right there. Nobody can say, "Oh, I didn't know you assigned that to me. Oh gosh, I wasn't paying attention right then." No, it's right there in writing, their names on it. They've got their notifications. The task is now built up in your follow-up tool, and everybody's on the same page as to who's doing what. So a little bit of pre-planning in front of your meeting and a little bit of post-work will make for a really efficient kind of operation off that meeting.
Yeah.
The second tool is Microsoft Teams. I believe that during the pandemic, as Microsoft Teams was, I think, a SOS for many of organizations across many different sectors, especially healthcare. I think that Microsoft Teams now in meetings, they're adding tools to make meetings not so blasé, right? So Microsoft Teams is a very great hub where you can be able to collaborate, including the OneNote feature, to stay collaborative with teams and keeping meetings interesting throughout the day.
Absolutely.
Great.
Jason, Sheila, thank you both so much for jumping on this podcast with us. I remember this is probably close to, now almost, I'm probably revealing a little bit of my age, but let's say this was probably about 18 years ago. I was a project manager at a large bank, in Charlotte, and they had me stationed down in Norfolk, Virginia. And I remember I was on one of my first calls that I had to lead a team with. And I started off with all this shiny conversation and all this stuff. And I remember midway through the meeting, someone chimed in and said, "So what exactly are you looking to get out of this meeting?" And I cringed because I was like, I thought I'd already explained that, right? And so that was where, like, to Jason and Sheila, the things that you all are saying, I think even at a micro level, someone that may be a small entrepreneur or a small, just getting started, like a startup, getting those notes in place and pre-planning the meetings and thinking about what your end result is going to be prior to the meeting. So now you're kind of leading with that, right? So when you're in that meeting, you have an opportunity to explain right off the rip, the goal of this meeting is bing, bing, and bing. And so now everyone understands that, right? And I always remember that story. And every time I'm listening to someone give a presentation or they're talking about something in the lead role, I always look for what is the purpose of the meeting in the beginning. And so that way it's like everyone will know and everyone's on the same page. So love this conversation. I would love to probably have you two back in some time. I think this is very, very relevant information for entrepreneurs of any level. Kiya, anything else that you have that you'd like to share?
If Jason and Sheila can share how someone can get in contact with them in order to get a consultation and potentially do some business with you.
Absolutely. We are online, so you can be able to type in seersolutions.com, and we actually have a schedule us page. So we have both of our calendars available, and then you guys can be able to contact us through seersolution.com.
Excellent. We'll be sure to put that also out on the when we post everything out. We'll be sure that the website's there and both your names and information's there as well. Again, thank you so much, everyone that tuned in. We really appreciate you. Cannot wait to talk to you all again soon. Thank you. Have a great rest of your week. Take care. Bye-bye.
You've been listening to the Couple-preneurs Show. To learn more about the resources mentioned on today's show or listen to past episodes, visit www.kothoughtleaders.com.